The courtroom was a place of order and authority, a stage where truth and justice were sought. On this particular day, the atmosphere in the room was thick with anticipation. The case being presented wasn't high profile, but the participants made it memorable. A nervous teenager stood in the defendant's box, his posture awkward and his head slightly bowed. Jason Miller, an 18-year-old high school senior, had never imagined he would find himself in court. A kind and responsible young man, Jason was known for his love of books and his part-time job at the local library. But a series of unfortunate events had landed him in trouble. Accused of trespassing on private property, Jason was caught in a misunderstanding that spiraled out of control. At the bench sat Judge Harold Townsend, a man infamous for his no-nonsense demeanor. Known for his sharp tongue and intolerance for excuses, Judge Townsend had a reputation for humbling anyone who entered his courtroom. "Jason Miller," Judge Townsend began, his voice booming and commanding, "do you understand the charges against you?" Jason swallowed hard. "Yes, Your Honor," he replied, his voice barely audible. The judge leaned forward, adjusting his glasses. "Speak up, young man. Are you admitting to trespassing on private property?" Jason hesitated. His hands trembled as he gripped the edge of the stand. "It wasn't intentional, Your Honor. I didn't realize." "Didn't realize?" Judge Townsend interrupted, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "Let me guess. You didn't see the signs, or maybe you thought rules don't apply to you?" The courtroom erupted in hushed murmurs. Jason's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "No, sir," he said softly. "I was helping someone." The judge raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. "Helping someone? Fascinating. Care to elaborate on this heroic act of yours?" Jason hesitated again. His mind raced as he tried to find the right words. "It was late at night, and I heard someone calling for help. I followed the sound, and it led me to the property. I didn't mean any harm." Judge Townsend sighed dramatically. "Let me tell you something, young man. This court isn't interested in your bedtime stories. The law is the law, and ignorance is no excuse." Jason's stomach churned. He could feel the weight of the judge's words pressing down on him. "Let's get to the point," Judge Townsend continued. "Why should this court believe your tale of altruism when the evidence clearly shows you trespassed?" Jason glanced at his public defender, who gave him a reassuring nod. Summoning all the courage he could muster, Jason straightened his posture. "Your Honor, I understand the seriousness of this situation, but I'm not lying. There was an elderly man who had fallen in his backyard. He couldn't move, and he was calling out for help. I climbed the fence to get to him. I called 911 and stayed with him until the paramedics arrived." The courtroom fell silent. Even Judge Townsend appeared taken aback for a moment, though he quickly regained his composure. "And do you have any proof of this incident?" Jason nodded. "Yes, sir. The paramedics can confirm it, and the man I helped, Mr. Thompson, is willing to testify." Judge Townsend narrowed his eyes. "Mr. Thompson, you say? The same Mr. Thompson who filed the trespassing complaint?" Jason nodded again. "He didn't recognize me that night. It was dark, and I left as soon as the paramedics arrived. I think he filed the complaint because he didn't know who I was or why I was on his property." The judge leaned back in his chair, tapping his gavel lightly against the desk. "Interesting. Let's hear from Mr. Thompson." An elderly man in his 70s was escorted to the witness stand. Mr. Thompson, frail but alert, adjusted his glasses as he addressed the court. "Mr. Thompson," Judge Townsend began, "can you confirm the defendant's account of what happened?" Mr. Thompson nodded. "Yes, Your Honor. I remember that night well. I had fallen and couldn't get up. I thought I was going to die out there. Then this young man appeared out of nowhere and saved me. I didn't know who he was until today." The courtroom buzzed with astonishment. Judge Townsend held up a hand to silence the murmurs. "So, Mr. Thompson, Why did you file a complaint against Mr. Miller?" The old man sighed. "I was confused, Your Honor. I didn't recognize him that night, and I assumed he was trespassing. But now I realize he was only trying to help me. I owe him my life." Jason's eyes welled with tears as Mr. Thompson spoke. The judge glanced at the young man, his expression unreadable. "Well, Mr. Miller," Judge Townsend said after a long pause, "it seems there's more to this story than meets the eye." Jason took a deep breath, relief washing over him. But the judge wasn't done yet. However, Judge Townsend continued, "You still violated the law by entering private property without permission. The question remains, does the end justify the means?" The room tensed as everyone waited for the judge's verdict. Jason's heart pounded in his chest. Finally, Judge Townsend sighed and set down his gavel. "In light of the circumstances, this court finds Jason Miller not guilty of trespassing. The charges are dismissed." The room erupted in applause, and Jason let out a shaky breath. But Judge Townsend wasn't finished. He raised a hand for silence and addressed Jason directly. "Young man, let this be a lesson to you. While your intentions were noble, it's always better to seek permission or alert authorities before taking matters into your own hands. You may leave this courtroom with your record clean, but I hope you leave with wisdom as well." Jason nodded, gratitude evident on his face. "Thank you, Your Honor. I'll remember that." As the courtroom cleared, Mr. Thompson approached Jason. "Thank you, son," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm sorry for the trouble I caused you. You're a good kid." Jason smiled. "It's okay, sir. I'm just glad you're all right." As Jason walked out of the courthouse, the sun shining brightly above, he felt a newfound sense of confidence. The experience had been harrowing, but it had also taught him the importance of standing up for the truth, no matter how daunting the odds. And for once, Judge Townsend, the man known for silencing others, had been left without a word. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, subscribe, and share.